Hi, everyone. We are going to be talking about how to memorize mechanical reasoning formulas, and we're going to be using flashcards. So I'm going to talk to you about why you should be incorporating flashcards into your firefighter aptitude test preparation, and then I'm going to show you how you can use those skills in your mechanical aptitude test prep. My name is Luann. I own S.M.A.R.T Tutoring and Test Preparation Services, and I'm happy to be with you today. Now, first up, why flashcards? So just to give you an idea, this is what a flashcard is. It's basically just a recipe card that you put notes on. If you are a visual learner or if you are a hands-on learner, flashcards will work for you. So if you tend to remember things more through seeing them and more by doing them, you're going to want to create some flashcards for the things that you have to remember, like mechanical aptitude formulas. Now, the reason why the flashcards work is because in the creation of doing them, that is in making them or writing on them, you're going to remember that act. So it's going to help you get that information into your long-term memory. Another reason why flashcards work is because they don't have a beginning and an end point. You can start the deck at any point and just work through them. We generally tend to remember things that we study at the beginning of a session and at the end of the session. So if you were to read a passage, for example, you're more likely to remember the beginning and the end than if you were to remember the middle. We just get lost in the middle. And with flashcards, like I said, we don't have a middle point. So you end up getting the information into your long-term memory a little bit better in that regard. And then lastly, I think my favorite reason for flashcards is they're portable. So these guys are small. You can throw them in your pocket, your glove box, your purse, and you can pull them out and use them in short time frames. So if you're waiting for breakfast at a restaurant, or if you have a lunch break at work, or even if you're driving somewhere and you're a passenger, this is an easy thing to pull out and review and hit the nail into the wood a little bit more throughout your day. So instead of pulling out your phone to use social media, pull out your flashcards and start to flash through them. It's not necessarily about how long you view your flashcards that matters. It's about how many times you see the content so that you can ingrain it into your long-term memory. That's why I like having the smaller study materials, because oftentimes we don't have the ability to bring our test prep books with us. So having something that's more portable is helpful, especially when you're on a break or when you're being driven around or when you're waiting around for something. Flashcards are an excellent resource for you. Okay, let's get into how we can create flashcards for mechanical reasoning. Right, I have two examples here. I have one example for gears and one example for levers. Now, in the mechanical aptitude section of a firefighter test, you're going to get a mix of simple machine questions. So it's important for you to first read the question and identify what simple machine you're working with. And what I mean by that is it a gear question? Is it a lever question? Is it an incline plane, a wheel and axle, a pulley question? Okay, what is the simple machine you're working with? Now, every simple machine has multiple questions that fall within that category. So after you've identified what simple machine you're working with, you have to identify what question you're being asked. With those two things in mind, that is going to give you the direction you need to answer the question. And oftentimes in mechanical aptitude, it requires you to use a formula to solve the problem. So when you're creating your flashcards, I want you to put all of those pieces together. On one side of the flashcard, I want you to indicate the type of simple machine. and I want you to indicate the type of question. And then on the other side, I want you to indicate the formula that is used for that type of question. So when we look at the example, you can see here that we're working on gears, and the question we are focusing on is determine the speed or the RPM of a gear. Knowing that, you're going to apply the formula driver teeth times driver RPM equals driven teeth times driven RPM. Now, the formulas aren't given to us in the aptitude test, so you want to make sure that you're putting these pieces together and you know your formulas in advance of taking the test. The second type of card we have is for the lever. And in this case, we're looking at two different questions because we can answer both questions using the same formula. So if you are asked to determine how much effort is required to lift a weight, or if you're asked to determine the weight required to balance a beam, you're going to use the formula effort times effort distance equals resistance distance times resistance. An added feature that you can see here is the pictures of the simple machines themselves, and that helps your brain register what it is you're dealing with, is conceptualizing the content, right? So in this case, I have a simple picture of gears, and then I have a simple picture of a lever system. I created this on Canva for you, okay? What I would prefer you do for yourself is do this by hand, because if you type your cards, or like say if you put them in Quizlet, you're not actually creating the content in the same way that you would be as if you were writing it. And that is the fundamental part of creating a flashcard for yourself, is that action. So I don't want you to remember typing on a computer, and I don't want you remembering like searching for gears in pictures on Canva. Instead, I want you to draw it out or write it out. Use your test preparation books as a reference here, and input that information into your brain and then onto a card. That is what you want to do for yourself to help you remember that type of content. I want to give you an example of what I'm talking about. This is a cue card that I created for myself when I first started studying mechanical aptitude and mechanical reasoning formulas. Here we have on the one side Pythagorean theorem, and then you can see here I drew out what that was talking about, right? So ladder placement essentially, and then you have your base and you have your wall, and I color coded those because it was helping me understand what it is that I was taking in. And again, if you're a visual learner, you're going to remember the image, not necessarily the words. And then on the other side, I have the formula for that. I have the information required. Let's see, it says the square on a hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares on the opposite two sides. Okay, so basically the theory. And then I gave myself an example of how to do that math. Okay, so that's just another example in terms of how to create a flashcard to help you remember formulas that you're going to come up against in the mechanical aptitude section. And again, if you're not sure where to get that information from, go to your aptitude test preparation books. All of them have that information in the book. And if you're still not sure, contact me at smarttutoring.ca, set up a tutoring session, and we can get started on the creation of your flashcards. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you do this, or if you have any questions about how to do this, just write them in the comments. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe to the YouTube channel. Every week I come back to teach you something that you can apply to your firefighter aptitude test preparation. My name is Luann. I own S.M.A.R.T Tutoring and Test Preparation Services, and it's a great pleasure of mine to work with you. Thank you, and have a smart day.